Hello and welcome to Your Questions, in which we take one of your questions and we answer it in about 5 minutes or so. And I think this one is going to divide the audience, and I think, having had a quick discussion with Liz about this, I think it's going to divide us as well. So the question is, and we get asked this quite a lot, is what do we do with our rubbish whilst we live on our boat? It's a big question because of course it does open up lots of discussions about the environment and rubbish disposal and so on. I guess we should start with just describing what we do. What do we do?
Of course. I mean, basically anything that you can eat, anything that's organic, it goes over, and it goes over whether we're at anchor or in the middle of the ocean. So if it's completely biodegradable, basically if it's biological, it goes over the side.
A couple of months ago we did a video which we entitled Living Like Robinson Crusoe, and in that video we went ashore and we picked up rubbish, and it opened up a huge debate about what we should be doing with this rubbish. A lot of people suggested that we can burn the rubbish.
I think the point to make is that the rubbish we picked up was all plastic.
Yes.
It was plastic specifically that we picked up.
Having said that, people are suggesting that you can burn plastic. Now, when we came to Tierman, which is where we are now, we came via a little island called Tingy, and we had 4 or 5 bags of rubbish, and it wouldn't have been fair to have taken that rubbish ashore there, because it has a population of what, 50, 100 people. So what would they do with it? They'd probably burn it. In Tierman, happy to see that they have recycle bins, and with little signs that say recycle your rubbish, and you can divide up your tin cans and your plastic bottles. The only thing is that every night as we sit here in anchor, we can smell burning plastic.
It's all burning ashore.
And of course, probably most of you know that burning plastic releases dioxins into the atmosphere.
Carcinogens, toxins, all of those things.
Yeah, they can be extremely harmful to ourselves and to the environment and to the atmosphere. And I mean, even the professionals out there are divided about whether it is actually effective to incinerate. So the argument is that if you incinerate at high enough temperature and you filter the smoke that comes out of the incinerator, then you control those dioxins. But some people aren't necessarily in agreement with that either. So, you know, should we be burning plastic when we go ashore to help the islanders not have to do it for us?
Yeah, because that essentially seems to be what happens. We carefully package it all up, give it to them to be recycled, and it gets burnt anyway, and that's actually getting us nowhere at all.
So we know of a lot of yachties, and we'll admit that we did it ourselves. A lot of yachties will throw tin cans over the side. Now, aluminium beer cans, there's a special way that if you rip it and you throw it in the water in such a way, it's guaranteed to sink. So a lot of yachties do this, and I know we used to do it as well.
Then we got told off, didn't we?
We got told off. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first thing is that aluminium cans are actually lined with a plastic to not only hold in the ink on the outside and the labelling, but also inside it acts as a kind of preservative.
Yeah.
That obviously takes a while to break down. Do you know how long it takes an aluminium can to break down?
I don't know. Tell me, Gary.
200 years.
For an
aluminium can. A tin can is 50 years.
Okay, so when we're talking tin can, we mean a tin can that you keep your peas and your baked beans in.
Yes, 50 years.
All right, but the drinking can, the Coca-Colas, Fantas and all that crap, they've got plastic in them. So what we were arguing about just now was, while I agree with you on the plastic coated soda cans, yeah, they should go, but the tin cans that we keep our vegetables in, I don't have a problem with throwing those over when we're quite a way out, when you've got a mile of sea beneath you. But
isn't that just kind of, again, the whole out of sight, out of mind thing? You know, it's not my problem if I dump it over the side and it sinks to the bottom a mile in the ocean.
If it was carcinogenic, if it had toxins, if someone were to tell me that by doing that I'm actually releasing toxins into the water which are going to hurt the animals, then I would rethink it. I haven't found that information anywhere, but as far as I understand, you're just putting tin back into the earth. And the biggest thing that pisses me off generally about recycling and generally getting rid of rubbish is that this earth is 7/10 ocean. only 30% of the earth is covered in land. So why do we think that it's okay to shove everything on the land in landfills or do whatever it is we do with it, and the other 70% is so pristine we mustn't put even one tin can in it? For me, a tin can in the middle of a very deep ocean, if it's not causing any harm, is no worse than putting it in a landfill.
Okay, yeah, I get your argument. I think at this point I'm just going to put a little overlay over this discussion now and show you some photographs of aluminium beer cans that have collected. Now I assume this is in shallower water, so these are in anchorages, so you can imagine an anchorage of a whole load of boats. They're all having a party and they chuck their tin cans over the side.
And you shouldn't do that. You know, definitely you shouldn't put anything in the harbour or where you're anchored, nothing except for foodstuffs. Nothing else goes in there because it will just rest there. But when you've got a mile of ocean beneath you, okay, it will rest at the bottom, but it will gradually disintegrate and it will eventually go back to tin and to its elements, as long as it doesn't cause harm to the animals. And I do know that some environmentalists say that some things, for instance glass, or things that are not harmful, will act as little homes for some sea creatures. So, you know, I think we've got to be very careful about what we do and we don't throw over the side, and what we do and we don't put in the earth. It's the same thing.
Glass is an interesting one, because we attempted to smash the glass on the bow of the boat to break it up. It's a bit dangerous though, because you get glass splinters all over the deck. So do you then just fill up the glass from the tap, fill it up and throw it over the side for it to sink to the bottom?
Personally, I haven't got a problem with glass going into the ocean. Again, it needs to be a way out, because when I was little I used to collect the glass, the bits of glass that used to end up on the beach, and they'd have been rolled in the surf and they've got that gorgeous lovely texture and they're all rounded and pretty in lots of different colours. You used to get them all over the beaches in the UK. You just don't see little bits of glass anymore, and that's because
we're all using plastic. Did you
know
glass though, they can't actually even decide how long it takes to break down. When it's smashed up, of course it gets ground down, but a whole glass bottle, if it were to sink to the bottom of the ocean, it takes so long to decompose. They actually don't know how long it takes. Some people reckon it'd take 1 million years.
Well, is that a problem though? Because you've got a glass bottle that's not producing any kind of dioxins. It's perhaps giving a few sea creatures a home. Perhaps it's going in a little bit shallower and helping to form part of the coral. Isn't glass made from sand in the first place?
Yes, it is. Some other interesting facts just on decomposition. So cigarette butts between 1 to 5 years, tin cans 50 years, aluminium cans 200 years, plastic beverage holders. Now these things are an evil. These things, you know, the when you get a 6-pack of beer.
Oh yes.
And they take 400 years.
Yes.
400 years to decompose. Now, plastic does decompose in the water.
Yeah.
Let's not, you know, let's get our facts right. It will decompose. But if it takes 400 years to decompose, that thing's floating around in the ocean, and we've all seen photographs of turtles and dolphins and, you know, marine animals that either swallow these things or they get caught up in them.
It's all coming back to plastic.
Yes.
It all comes back to plastic, and the problem with this bloody planet and the human beings on it is that we seem to love plastic, and the manufacturers can't stop making plastic crap. There's too much plastic on there. Just stop making plastic now, just stop it. When I grew up, your milk came in a milk bottle and it was delivered, and then the next day the bloke would come back, the milkman, he'd take the bottle away, wash it out and then bring it back again.
Actually, we do see that. We have seen that in places like Turkey. You could recycle your beer bottles, and India, they do a lot of that kind of recycling as well.
You used to get a penny back, didn't you, when you took your bottles back to the shops?
This is all very well, but this doesn't help us as yachties. What do we do? I think the only thing that we can do as yachties is to try and minimise the amount of plastic that we buy in the first place.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's from going to the supermarket and taking your Hessian recycled, you know,
which we have
shopping bags. to trying to avoid, and of course the other thing is when you go into a shop and they immediately put all your gear in plastic bags. In the UK now, I think they're obliged to ask whether you want plastic bags, and they charge you for plastic bags. They don't do that in some of these countries, so it's up to you as the person buying this gear to take a stance.
Yeah, take your shopping bag with you.
That is all we can do, isn't
We
it?
can do better. I mean, only today I was desperately thirsty and I bought a plastic bottle full of water. So that'll go into the rubbish and it'll go onto the island and possibly get burned tonight. So really, places like Lippy in Thailand, they provide you with a stainless steel container, and they have little spots all around the island where you can just fill up with water. They're trying to stop plastic bottles, and it's great. There are lots of initiatives around the world. There's no point in getting too upset because there are loads of initiatives.
We should just mention that Liz is talking about Trash Hero, and this is a non-profit organisation set up by both tourists and the local people on Koh Lippy, and they now have lots and lots of different factions around, not just Thailand but in Malaysia and Indonesia as well. And these guys are doing a great job. The sad thing is that it's from the bottom. It's done from the bottom up. There's no government incentive. It seems as if there is no government incentive from the top down to incentivize people to not buy plastic. So there we go. Interesting discussion. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you think this is an interesting discussion, then please do share it across your social media.
Yes, please do. Let's generate a whole load of thinking on this subject, and let's do it on Facebook and Instagram,
Twitter,
YouTube, Twitter,
the usual.
all of those. Just chuck it on there. Let's get out there and let's see what people have to say.
In the meantime, peace and fair winds.